York hush money trial involving former President Donald Trump. Let's just say it took a dramatic turn of events today. Things got a little bit out of hand. Judge Juan Merchan lost it, and let's just say he got a little pissed off with Donald Trump's witness. And anyway, we're going to get into this today. So basically, the prosecutors they finished up the presenting their evidence after, I don't know, nearly having to bring in a final witness from Indiana, believe it or not. And this witness was actually a C-SPAN employee who had photos of Donald Trump and his bodyguard that may have actually been very crucial to the case. All right. And, but the complication was resolved without the need for him to actually fly in. So that much was good. But things got a little bit wild for the New York versus Donald Trump case today. Donald Trump's lawyers requested the dismissal of all 34 charges against him, which is a very common legal strategy after the prosecution finishes presenting their evidence, right? But the judge has not yet made a decision on this particular motion. Then, of course, we've got Robert Costello, the defense. The defense called Robert Costello a former legal advisor to Michael Cohen. So Michael Cohen, he's a key witness for the prosecution, aka DA Bragg, Alvin Bragg's witness here, and he was involved in making the hush money payment at the center of the trial to Stormy Daniels. So Costello's role was to challenge Michael Cohen's testimony about feeling pressured not to cooperate with federal investigators in 2018. Tensions began to rise, though, when Costello reacted audibly and visually to objections during this testimony. Now, before we really get into this, guys, all I ask is that you take 1 second, hit the like button for the video. Totally appreciate you guys. I want to thank you as always for supporting the channel. Thank you for subscribing to the channel and for sharing these videos with your friends and family on Facebook, Twitter. You guys are so helpful. You guys are amazing. Really do appreciate you guys. Got a bunch of people in here already. What's going on, Laverne, Rebecca Brown, Terry Stratus, beautifully inappropriate. All right. So after these tensions rose, when Costello started getting a little bit, let's just say audibly and visually noticeable during his testimony, Judge Juan Merchan, he admonished Costello for his behavior, instructing him not to express disapproval through comments, rolling his eyes or other gestures. Basically, the judge is treating this guy like a kid now, embarrassing Donald Trump's witness. I mean, so the judge literally then ended up clearing the courtroom of the press to address the issue of the decorum. Craziness. Now, Judge Juan Merchan, he raised his voice. He questioned Costello's behavior, asking him if Costello was staring him down. I mean, this ended up leading the judge to ordering the room to just be cleared. Very rare occurrence during an ongoing trial. Reporters were removed, but they ended up being allowed back in after a few minutes without an explanation of the brief expulsion. Basically, this judge got pissed off. He wanted to puff up his chest, and I'm pretty sure things may have gone down a little bit differently if he wasn't a judge. I think he feels like, I'm the judge. I can do whatever I want. And that's pretty much what happened today. So after the court adjourned for the day, Donald Trump criticized the judge. No surprise there, calling him totally conflicted and pointing out the unprecedented removal of the press from the courtroom. Costello is expected to continue his testimony tomorrow morning on Tuesday, likely as the defense's final witness. Now, the trial's closing statements are now anticipated to occur just after the Memorial Day holiday. So, Todd Blanche, one of Donald Trump's attorneys, argued that the prosecutors failed to prove that business records related to the case were false. But take a listen to this here, guys.
The courtroom was momentarily just cleared here of the gathered press as well as the jury because Judge Merchan wanted to admonish Robert Costello, the current witness brought forward by the defense team for Donald Trump. he has been limited to a very narrow scope of testimony that he has been allowed to provide, and there's been several instances where he has begun to answer a question, and then ultimately there was an objection raised by the prosecution, which was sustained by Judge Merchan. But from our team inside, they're saying that Costello at one point let out a geez, and then another time let out a sigh, and another point ordered something to be struck from the record, and this led ultimately Judge Merchan to order everybody out of the courtroom. And right before, as this was happening, there were some quick words that Judge Merchan directed at Costello, telling him to not roll your eyes at me. He had suggested that he was, quote, staring him down. So it sounds like Robert Costello, who was that individual who was briefly counseling Michael Cohen for a couple months in 2018 and is testifying here that Cohen had told him that he did this all independently of Donald Trump, and he never informed Donald Trump of the Stormy Daniels payment. This is now sort of a key witness here for the defense team, but with the jury in the room, clearly Judge Merchan very peeved to the point that he asked the jury and the press to leave, and they are now just only being let back in.
I mean, me personally, I feel like the judge got a little bit of an air of superiority, and basically he wants everybody kissing his butt. He wants people kissing his feet. I mean, this is unbelievable, and this is the judge that is presiding over Donald Trump's case. I mean, this guy, corruption at its finest.
Okay, so I have some of this transcript that Vaughn is just reading out to our audience. Merchan says, quote, I'd like to discuss, these are from our correspondent, our program's correspondent, Lisa Ferry, in the courtroom. I'd like to discuss proper decorum in my courtroom, Merchan says. If you don't like my ruling, you don't say geez. You don't say...
If you don't like what's going on in here, keep it to yourself, is what the judge is saying.
Strike it, because I'm the only one who can strike it from the record. Judge Merchan, you don't give me side eye and you don't roll your eyes. Costello.
Wow, this judge is literally treating this witness like he is his son. Just literally just demeaning him and embarrassing him in front of the courtroom. Just unbelievable.
Oh, I understand. Merchan, clear the courtroom. This seems like... This seems very theatrical. This seems very Trumpian. What sort of damage can it do in the eyes of the jury?
Can I just say, I've been in a situation where I have had to and gotten court permission to have a lawyer for somebody to testify. Those lawyers are dispassionate and careful, and they are only going to answer questions that they legally have to answer because they have a continuing duty of loyalty to their client or sometimes former client. And and I would know in that situation that they were being completely ethical and trying to adhere to their continuing duties to their client. This is the antithesis of that from what we're seeing.
And just remind everybody who Costello is.
So Costello is somebody who Michael Cohen spoke to and had an attorney-client privileged relationship but ultimately didn't hire. He has worked with Rudy Giuliani, and there has been evidence introduced, and this also came up in the Mueller investigation, suggesting that he and others were part of an effort to try to get Michael Cohen not to cooperate. It'll be interesting to see how much that plays out on cross. His behavior in the courtroom, let's just say it is not consonant with what I have seen with somebody thinking about their obligations to that client or prospective client, and isn't coming off as dispassionate.
Yeah.
Really quick, Sue, I think it was Sue I saw in here. Sue Pickett, I agree with you. This definitely sounds very personal. John Gould thinks that this is a dictator is the word. I agree with you. Definitely sounds like a dictatorship in Merchan's courtroom. Quick shout out. Thank you, Terry Stratus, for the $5 super chat. Costello is running a former U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York. Oh, okay. He's running for former U.S. attorney of the... I think you're trying to say Costello is a... Okay. Excuse me. Costello is a former U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, and he could not believe the rulings. My bad. You wrote it correctly. I misread it. Wow. Thank you, Terry. I appreciate you. This judge, man. I think Donald Trump. I feel like this Judge Scott McAfee. He was way better of a judge. Judge Scott McAfee, for those of you guys who don't know, is the judge that's presiding over Donald Trump's Georgia election interference case with Fannie Willis and Nathan Wade and the 18 other co-defendants. Judge Scott McAfee was way more fair, way less willing to throw a hissy fit and sensitive, and I would even go so far as to say way less biased. Todd Blanche, one of Donald Trump's attorneys, argued that the prosecutors failed to prove that the business records related to the case were false. The records includes 11 invoices that Michael Cohen filed to Donald Trump, 12 ledger entries, and 11 checks that Donald Trump signed for Cohen. And if you add up the 11, 12, 11, 12, and 11, I think you get the 34 counts that DA Alvin Bragg hit Trump with. So Blanche, he also contested the district attorney, the district attorney's theory, DA Alvin Bragg, that Donald Trump orchestrated some elaborate scheme to suppress negative stories to improve his chances in the 2016 presidential election. He also argued that the so-called catch and kill schemes were not illegal, which they're not. NDAs are not illegal. Non-disclosure agreements are not illegal. We know this, guys. Why doesn't DA Alvin Bragg know this? He also questioned the criminality of keeping false stories from the public, asking, how is keeping a false story from voters criminal? Which is a very good question. Let me ask you guys, how is keeping a lie being told to prospective voters illegal? Right? If anything, it's like trying to avoid, what's the term? Basically, you're trying to prevent your name from being tarnished. And as a president, or at least a presidential candidate, you need to make sure you keep all the lies off to the side, at least until after the elections, especially if they're lies. I mean, goodness knows there's going to be tons of lies being advertised by your competitors, by your political rivals. So if you can squash or catch and kill a lie so it doesn't even get out there, then anyway, it's just a good strategy. It's a strategy that's implemented by pretty much any professional political opponent, corporations, yada, 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 celebrities. Prosecutors can counter the defense's claims by basically saying that there's extensive evidence of false records and that there's no valid reason to dismiss the charges against Donald Trump. I mean, this is a very broad blanket statement. They don't prove anything. DA Bragg doesn't prove anything. He says extensive evidence of false records. Where's the evidence, dude? Where is the evidence? Todd Blanche, he targeted Michael Cohen's, Todd Blanche targeted Michael Cohen, who is Donald Trump's former lawyer and key witness for DA Alvin Bragg's side, accusing him of lying in court, which he's done who knows how many times now. He urged Judge Juan Merchan to rule Michael Cohen as an unreliable witness as a matter of law, because you can't just keep sitting there perjuring yourself. The whole trial would have to be called a mistrial. And if the judge accepts this request, then jurors need not, they wouldn't have to evaluate Cohen's credibility, which would significantly impact the trial's outcome. Todd Blanche, he also argued that this would prevent jurors from considering Cohen's testimony altogether. Judge Juan Merchan later questioned whether the defense wanted him to entirely remove Cohen's testimony from the jury's consideration. Blanche confirmed that this is what their request is. So the judge has not actually decided on this matter and kind of has postponed the trial until tomorrow morning, when the final witness testimonies are expected to conclude. So basically, in short, Donald Trump's trial Defense attorney Todd Blanche argued that the prosecution failed to prove the falsity of business records involving payments to Michael Cohen, and ultimately challenged the legality of efforts to suppress negative stories about Donald Trump. So the defense also sought to discredit Cohen, which is very easy to do. He kind of like does it himself. Michael Cohen, who's the key, the prosecution, DA Alvin Bragg's key witness, urging him to rule Michael Cohen as being an untrustworthy witness. Just throw him out. The judge has yet to decide on these matters, and the trial will resume with the conclusion of the witness testimonies. But I'd be really interested to see if the judge Juan Merchan would ever be willing to just kind of throw out Michael Cohen, because at this point, you guys let me know if what you're seeing. I have yet to see any kind of fairness from this judge here. This guy, hands down, has been the worst judge out of all of them. I honestly had higher hopes for this guy. I felt that because this is the last Donald Trump case to start, meaning this was the fourth case to start. And so I figured, okay, this particular judge has clearly, or I'm assuming this judge has been watching the news, catching these YouTube videos. He's probably on social media. His daughter is on social media. That's her job. That's her business. He would likely be seeing what the public is saying about these cases against Donald Trump. And I thought, okay, you know what? Maybe he's going to set a new precedent. Since there's so much corruption already, maybe he'll be the judge that actually provides Donald Trump with a fair trial, and maybe the corruption ends there. Wrong. This guy ended up being worse than all the other ones. So go figure. Anyway, guys, if you haven't already, please hit the like button for the video. Totally appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing. It's totally free if you want to subscribe to and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos and updates. But there was one more part that I wanted to hear from this interview here. Take a listen here.
I mean, Suzanne Craig, you've watched all of this. I've read it all, which is a distant second to seeing it. I've not read Merchan this upset in every day of the trial transcript that I've read.
No, and I think what's really important about it is how much the jury reads him. You always see in these trials I've sat through, this is my third one, and the jury and the judge have a real relationship. And I think this is it's a big error on Trump's team's part to have this sort of exchange happening in the courtroom. They really pick up on what the judge is thinking, and I think it worked.
I have to disagree. Like, I don't even see how they're blaming Trump's team for the judge's childish behavior. I mean, this judge needs to get checked. This judge seems to think that he's God. I mean, really? You're going to blame Donald Trump's legal team for the judge's behavior? Comment down below. Do you agree with this person that Donald Trump's team is at fault here for the judge's behavior, for the judge wigging out and ripping the witness apart during their testimony? I mean, let me know, guys. Let me know. Yeah, this was definitely a really controversial day. Things got wild. Katalia, thank you so much for helping me out in the comments as usual. A lot of folks calling this just Bambina says that the judge is garbage. Karen, I agree with you, Karen Perkins. She is delusional. She is absolutely delusional. I don't even know what she's smoking. But there's so many states that have legalized marijuana, so who knows what she may be smoking. But anyway, guys, I appreciate y'all rocking with me. I hope you guys have a great night. Thanks so much for hitting the like button and sharing these videos, and I will catch you on the next one.